In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common questions that are asked in apprenticeship interviews. And in this video, I'm going to help you plan fantastic answers that will get you that apprenticeship. So let's start with the number 1 question that is virtually guaranteed to come up, which is a question that says, why did you apply for this apprenticeship? And if you can't answer this question right, there's going to be a big problem and you're probably not going to get it. So pay attention and we're going to show you how to smash this question. So you're applying for a course that is college-based and it'll be job-based. So there's going to be a learning aspect as well. So you have to really sell the fact that you're genuinely interested in that course. So talk about how the course matches with your interests and your skills. You're going to really emphasize why that training and development is very important to you. You also need to show off that you're actually a good fit for the company, that you've applied to this company for a specific reason, that it matches with your future ambitions, and that you actually care about what the company does and you really want to be part of that. So for example, if you're applying for something in the care industry, you have to talk about being caring. If you're applying for something in education, you have to talk about passion of education. You have to have something that strongly links this apprenticeship to you personally, because if you can show that passion and that interest, that really sets you up for success. That is the single most important thing. It's linking it to your interests and showing that passion. You do that, your chance of getting it just shot up. On the other hand, there's a lot of things that people do in the apprenticeship interviews that totally screws up this question. So absolutely avoid all of these things. So talking about the need for a job, I'm looking to get a job. I need to get a job because these are the wrong things. They've got lots and lots and lots of people that would like to have a job. That doesn't set you apart. Showing that you've got no research, so not really understanding the company and not talking about the company in your answer shows you really don't have a clue what you're applying for. And they're really looking to catch people out who have done what you call scattergun applications. So they've just applied for loads and loads of apprenticeships and just fired out CVs all over the place without any real consideration. So they want to work somewhere. They don't particularly care where, and there's no strong reason why they'd want to work here. They just want an apprenticeship somewhere. So don't come across that way. The worst thing you can ever do in an apprenticeship interview is to talk about money. Talk about this career has loads of opportunity to make loads of money. I'm applying to become an electrician's apprentice because I want to start my own business and be a millionaire. That's really not what they want to hear. They're not interested in that, and it'll put them right off employing you. Let's look at question 2. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Classic interview question, often done very badly. So we've got 3 things that are the components of a good answer. So if a company is going to invest lots of time and effort and money in developing you from an apprentice to a fully fledged qualified member of staff, and you're going to say in your answer you're going to work somewhere else, that's going to set you up for failure. So talk about being with the company. So say in 5 years' time at this particular company, make it extremely clear that you're staying there. This is what I'm going to be doing for you. You're going to talk about how you're going to develop further. So what's the next step? So once you've done your apprenticeship, is there a level of qualification that's one higher? Is there one step up that you would hope to do? The worst thing you could do is talk about, going straight into senior leadership or something in 5 years. And so, for example, you're being interviewed by someone with 15 years experience, and you're saying in your answer, in 5 years' time, I'm going to be one level above you. That doesn't go down very well. The last thing you're going to do to be successful in a good answer is talk about what contribution you're going to make to the business and try and make it quite a substantial but still believable. So, for example, you might talk about that you would really love in 5 years' time to be so skilled at your particular trade or profession that you could actually be mentoring other apprentices and you could be passing on your learning and supporting the company and developing its new staff. That's something that's really important, and you imagine yourself in that role in 5 years' time. That would be a really fantastic thing to talk about. You can also make sure that you're not going to be standing still. So don't just say that in 5 years' time, I'm going to be at the exact same position as when I finish my apprenticeship. So my apprenticeship is going to qualify me to be X, and in 5 years' time, I'm just going to be doing that. That's not a particularly impressive answer either. Let's move on and look at question 3. How do you manage the stress and pressures of an apprenticeship? So they're looking for resilient people that are going to be able to handle work and study at the same time. So you're going to have issues around workload. So you're going to have to, do a lot of work, and you're going to have to study at home. So you have to show that you've got a strong work ethic. And you can also throw in things about, working smarter. You're going to have to-do lists. You're going to have targets, and you're going to maximize your productivity so you can get everything done. Ways to balance work and study: you're going to have a revision schedule, so you're not going to be cramming right at the very end. You're going to space out your work across the year, and you've got systems in place for that. And you can also make the absolute most of work-based learning. The great thing about an apprenticeship is you get to learn so much on the job. And so if you can learn lots on the job, that's going to set you up for success in any tests or professional examinations that you're going to do. And the most important thing to be successful in managing stress and workload is to plan ahead. So for example, if you've got a big assessment coming up or a big assignment, you're going to get ahead in your work so that it's going to free up some time to focus on that without compromising the quality of your work. You're also going to work constructively with managers, and you're always going to be sharing exactly where you are and what you're doing with your managers, so they know exactly where your stresses and pressures are and when your assignments are due, and how you're going to plan ahead and not cause any trouble because you've carefully managed out your time fantastically. So let's look at question 4, which is strengths and weaknesses. And this can be a question that throws the whole interview. So be very, very careful in how you answer this. So with strengths, a really great way to answer the strengths is to start with something that's genuine. You have to actually have this strength. And once you've got your genuine strength, you're going to bring or physically have some way of demonstrating with evidence that you actually have that strength. You don't want to rely on them believing that you have this strength. You have to actually prove that you really do have this strength. And most importantly, the strength has to be highly relevant to the job. The more relevant you can make it, the better. So here's an example of quite a good way of answering this question. So in the reference for my head teacher, so there we've done something clever. We've got a reference, so there's evidence, and we've got head teacher, so someone who's highly credible, and their reference is going to be very powerful. So you've got some really strong evidence with you. And so we go on. She says that I was an inspirational leader while captain of the football team. So you've got some experience in there, captain of the football team, and you've got this fantastic skill being an inspirational leader. And so that makes you stand out, because I bet you the vast majority of people going for an apprenticeship don't have such a strong skill that they've got good evidence for. And also the company's thinking, well, if this is someone whose head teacher is saying they're an inspirational leader, maybe we want them in our company, so in 5 years' time, maybe they will actually be leading something and inspiring people and making a great contribution. So this strength's really impressed us. We should probably take this person on the basis of this strength almost. So a highly relevant, evidence, genuine strength is so powerful and can probably really tip the balance in the interview in your favor. On the other hand, weaknesses are dangerous, and there's a simple but effective way of answering this that avoids the pitfalls and gets you through this question. This question is about surviving. So you can start with a real weakness. So for example, saying I work way too hard, that's not a weakness. That's not going to come across as particularly credible. You're just basically saying something that is to some extent a strength, but pretending that it's actually a weakness. Next, you're going to make sure that you're actually doing something about it. It's not very good saying, I have this weakness and it's going to be with me forever, and as an employer, you're just going to have to learn to live with it. That's not the message you want to present. But most importantly, it's not going to be particularly important for the job. So for example, saying, I struggle to get up in the morning and get to work on time. That's not an acceptable weakness. Being late for work is not a weakness that they're going to go, oh, well, that's just a minor thing. They'll be here, it's fine. They'll stay maybe a little bit later, no problem. That's going to lose you the interview. I have done an interview where someone said that they dropped out of their college course because they were always late and couldn't get out of bed. They did not get the position. And so a great way to structure your answer is to say, one of the weaknesses I am aware of. So you're showing an awareness, and then you state your weakness that meets all these criteria. And then you're going to say, I'm working on this by. So not only are you very aware that this is a weakness, you're actually doing something about it. So, when we get to that, in 5 years' time point, this isn't going to be a weakness. And hopefully by the end of your apprenticeship, you're going to have solved this and you can say what you're going to do with the company. And you could even set a goal that by the end of your apprenticeship, you want to overcome this particular weakness. So it's not going to have any negative effect on whether you get the job. Let's look at the last question before we look at some interview questions that you should be asking them. And the fifth question is, what do you know about our company? And I don't want to make this too, specific to one company because lots of people will be applying to lots of different things. But in general, answers get better as you go out from this circle. So a rubbish answer in the middle is things that everyone knows. So if you're applying for, a pub company and you just say it's a pub, well, everybody knows that. That's not particularly impressive. You want to move out into some things that only some people would know. So that says you've done your research and you know roughly as much as the people inside the company would know. And to be a really great answer, you have to say things that only very, very few people would ever know about the company. And so I've got on the left a checklist for you. And so you can work through this. So you're looking at what does the company do? And that's not just a one-line answer. This is a deep understanding of what are all the business segments and how do they fit together. The mission statement is a simple thing that you can Google. The company probably does have one if it's a big company, if it's a small company. If it's not there, just skip through it. Who owns the company? Is it on the stock exchange? Is it a family-controlled company? Talking about that shows a lot of research. When did the company start? So go right back to the beginning. What year was it founded? Who founded it? How did it come into being? Tell that little bit of history, just a couple of history facts. Shows you've done your research because most people don't know that. So if you know that, you stand out. Industry knowledge, so have a couple of facts about the industry that it's in. What geography does it cover? Is it an international company? Is it just in one region? Has it recently expanded into another region? The number one thing you can do is read the annual report. And if it's a big company on the stock exchange, it'll produce an annual report. So if you're applying to, say, Tesco, one of these big supermarket companies, they will have an annual report. So just type in the name of the company, annual report, and hopefully you'll get several hundred pages of the best information about the company written by, say the chief executive's written a letter explaining what they've done this year. That's fabulous research. Talk about employee development, so maybe pick some examples of some employees that you know that have done really well, or look up the training that the company provides further on. And lastly, corporate values. Again, a simple Google search, just type the name of the company and then values, or have a look through their website and you'll probably find something that they value teamwork and commitment, or they value work ethic. There'll be some set of values that this company says this is us. And if you research those and talk about those in an interview, you're showing off fabulous research and you'll really, really impress the person. They may not ask you this question directly, but you can sprinkle these facts throughout the interview and it massively impresses people. So I'll leave you with a bonus, which is some questions to ask. So I'll let you read through these questions. These are all really impressive questions. And I'd recommend that you ask at least 3 questions. If you don't have any questions, it's a big problem and it looks very, very lazy. So definitely memorize some of these and think up your own questions as well. So don't just go with these 5. Have at least 3 questions from here memorized, and then a couple of questions that are very specific to the company you're applying for. And lastly, absolutely never ask about pay or holidays ever. You ask these questions after they have offered you the job and not before. So hopefully this video has been very helpful to you. Thank you very much for watching and best of luck in your apprenticeship interview.